also have enough air.
It is intellectually engaging.
And you can only become a leader when there are problems.
I like that.
The same applies to Rwanda, Burundi. So what are we federating?
Whether rats from another country can be, I mean, somebody must be there to hold everybody accountable.
But at the moment, we would rather deal with what we have, make it right.
First of all, we as elites of Uganda who have made Museveni the issue, I can tell Museveni is not the problem of Uganda. The problems of Uganda are much deeper. We can change the next 20 presidents and we'll still be this roundabout.
Deeply incisive.
The different political forces that we have in the country, we don't seem to really have achieved that minimum political consensus over certain things.
Authentically symbolic and insightful. Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odong Thor. All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A very warm welcome this evening, and it's the 8th of September 2021. My name is Charles Odong Thor, and I want to welcome you to this edition of Behind the Headlines this Wednesday, when we discuss what some people have called the game changer. Some people have said, is this what will eventually or finally put money in people's pocket? The parish development program, and the studio is here, packed and ready for the discussion. And to discuss all this, we are going to have in the studio the Honorable Raphael Majezi, is Minister in charge of local government. Honorable, you're most welcome, and this is your maiden appearance to this show.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening, viewers, and good evening, colleagues, the fellow panelists. I don't want to believe it is maiden in UBC. But
no,
I mean,
not UBC.
I'm sure you mean maiden tonight. You are right, there is only tonight of
maiden
of
on
now.
the Behind the Headlines, Honorable. Thanks a lot, and for honoring us with your presence. Next to Honorable Majezi is Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi. He is MP for Bardege, Laibi Division, Gulu, but also he is the Vice Chairperson of the Local Government Accounts Committee in Parliament. You're most welcome, Honorable Mapenduzi. Also made an appearance.
Thank you, my brother Charles.
Good to see both of you. I knew you more for both of you for being very active members of the Uganda Local Government Association. It's good to have you here.
The Honorable Minister was our Secretary General.
Yes.
And just to correct you, I'm not the Vice Chair of the Public Accounts Committee. I'm the Chair of Public Accounts Committee Local Government.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot about that correction. Next on the right to Mapenduzi is Dr. Atim Agnes Apea, Woman MP, Amolatar District, and Vice Chair of the Agriculture Committee in the 11th Parliament. You're most welcome, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And
Wafoyo Bino.
Thanks a lot. And next in line is Dr. Fred Muhumuza, Public Policy Analyst and Economist, teaches economics at Makerere University. As far as Makerere University is concerned, he's still jobless. But Dr. Muhumuza, you're most welcome back to the show.
He's lecturing, I think.
Makerere is open, they're teaching online.
Oh, you're teaching online?
They're teaching online. But the research goes on, that one never closes. Good evening, our viewers out there, and happy to be here. And as you said, will it put money into people's pockets? I'm saying, will it keep money in people's pockets?
Okay. And finally, on my immediate left is Councillor Sarah Birete, not yet honorable, but make no mistake, there is nothing off limit for Sarah. Sarah is a panelist on this show and is executive director of the Center for Constitutional Governance. Sarah, you're most welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening, viewers.
We are discussing, like I said, the parish development model, and the question, the big question, there are of course many questions, and if you are talking about you know, good living, welfare, and quality life, you want to see money in your pocket, and that comes with the big question for any program or project that government is putting in place. The question is, will this parish development model increase household income? And that is a worry that many Ugandans, indeed any human being, should be having. Liquidity is what we are talking about. And I want to start with the Honorable Minister, the man who is currently in charge of ensuring that this takes off, of selling the idea to the country, of course with the government led by the Prime Minister's office, of course with the financier, who is the minister or the PS in charge of finance. I want to start with rolling us back to 4th August when there was a big conference, a workshop meant to induct members of parliament, critical officers on the issue of parish development model. And there was a paper by the new you know, secretary to the Treasury, or the permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance. And he said, why the parish development model? And in it he said, the parish development model is a strategy for accelerating wealth and job creation and improving service delivery at parish level. Its intent is to take government to the people in a more effective way through a number of reasons, avenues. And he went ahead to say the objective is to increase the effectiveness of interaction between government and citizens to accelerate the realization of socio-economic transformation. Honorable Minister, where we are at now, is the parish development model set on a stage to achieve that? How?
Yeah. Thank you, Charles. And let me start with that observation of the PSST, Permanent Secretary to Treasury, by expounding on the concept of the parish development model, so that as we go ahead to debate it, as go ahead to popularize it, to discuss it with the people, to implement it, to analyze it, to critique it, we are together on the understanding of what it is. I think for me that's where we should begin. What is it? So that we can say, well, it will achieve this, it may not achieve this, this is well-intentioned, it's not, but on what is it, to know that this is Charles Odonto, then we can say, is he a good man, is he a bad man, but what is it? The parish development model is a multi-sectoral program initiated by the government, implemented at the parish level to cause socio-economic transformation with a primary objective of enabling the households to move from subsistence production to the monetary economy. Those are well-picked words. Multi-sectoral, in the sense that that is what the PSST is saying, bringing government together to operate and be felt and interface with the citizens at the parish level. Why the parish? This is the lowest leg in which we have an administrator of government, the parish chief. And we have been operating at the district level. We've been devolving funds, devolving human resource, providing an effort of government for development at the district. We went further down to the sub-counties. Government has taken a decision, let us move closer to the population, to the parish. And I believe that's why the PSST is saying getting the government to be felt closer to the population. It is where we are saying, let's not just talk about giving money so that people can use it, save, borrow, which is also an objective, but multi-sectoral in the sense that at the parish level, the ministry in charge of roads must be providing a road in a certain parish. The ministry in charge of water must be providing water in a certain parish in Uganda. The ministry in charge of education has a responsibility to provide education in that parish. Similarly, health, similarly, environment. We're going to focus even at a later stage, sanitation, hygiene, housing at the household level. So we're saying if you're going to uplift the 39% of the households which are still locked up in subsistence production to also take part in the monetary economy, it cannot be simply by providing a facility to borrow and lend and so on. This same household will require a good road. This same household should be assisted to increase its production and productivity and storage and proper handling of the produce so that they can store it and market it within Uganda and outside. For that, you will need the infrastructure. You're not going to talk about processing where there is no electricity. You're not going to talk about proper transportation and handling on bad roads. So that's why we're saying you must also reflect on the infrastructure at the parish. But also this household shall need education. They'll need health. They'll need protection of the environment. They need good quality life within their parish. So we'll also focus on social services delivered by the government at the parish level. We're also looking at the attitude, the awareness, the understanding, the mindset of the population. So in the parish model, we are devoting quite some bit of time to say, let's first build the systems. Let's first create understanding. Let's first build awareness. So you will see that that becomes a key factor, a key focus area for this one, but also the others. We need to know when we're talking about the households locked up in the subsistence, which are they? We're going to carry out community information system to do data collection, to do data management at the parish level so that the parish council, the parish team can use this data to do planning. You know, under local government, we're supposed to have development plans, even at that level. And then finally, to improve our governance and administration. We're going to emphasize transparency, accountability, good leadership at that level. And this is where we're going to be tested. That government is saying, in addition to all that we're saying, you have a facility of some fund to keep revolving in your community. As a leader, are you creating awareness? Are you tracking the delivery of services? Are you ensuring there is infrastructure? Are you focusing on production, productivity, and the value chain? And are you then therefore also ensuring that the funds provided are properly utilized? So that's why I'm calling it multi-sectoral, a holistic program bringing government to interface with its citizens in a participatory manner, bringing civil society, private sector to interface with government agents at that level, so that hopefully we can cause a change.
Let me make a follow-up.
That is what I can define.
Thanks a lot for that. Let me make a follow-up very quickly on that. what you have talked about so many of these pillars. What is that you want to start with? Because I know there are so many problems as human beings are. And resources are always limited.
Absolutely.
But what is that you want to start with?
We've already started, Charles. This program started July this year. What have we started with? A very good question. Friends, it is true that in Uganda we have 10,594 parishes. 10,594 parishes. Out of these, maybe because we didn't focus on this level of governance, we found ourselves with vacancies, with positions and field of parish chiefs.
4,500.
5,600.
Actually 4,600.
It's actually 5,600.
5,600.
So, as I speak today, we have provided resources to ensure that every parish is manned by a parish chief of a level of a diploma as a basic and upwards, diploma in public admin, diploma in community development, diploma in whatever in related fields. And the chief administrative officers have been given that instruction that the district service commissions should actually ensure that these are filled by the end of September. So as I speak now, if you know that you are within that state of qualification, that you qualify to become a parish administrator, know that you should be now in that process of submitting your applications and getting ready for recruitment to fill those vacancies. This is because the parish chief is a main actor in implementation of the parish model. Secondly, we're going to activate and facilitate and capacitate the parish development committees. There is no parish without a parish chairperson, LOC2. And the parish chairperson becomes the chairperson of that parish development committee. But because of the nature of the parish development model, we want the other players at the parish, working together with the parish executive, to also play a part. The chairperson of the women councils, the chairperson of the youth council, the chairpersons of the persons with disability, also the chairpersons of the elderly council, and also, you know, an opinion leader, somebody from civil society, somebody who can take part in the development of that parish. The secretary of that parish committee is the parish chief. This is where we're starting from. And again, I want to make sure that by the end of October, the newly created sub-counties and town councils are operationalized. We have about 716 of these local council 3 levels, which were created over time. And they keep on complaining they don't have a code. In other words, they don't appear in the budget of the Ministry of Finance. We've agreed as government, we are going to make sure that we find funds. It's coming to about 29 billion to operationalize these LOC3. So what are we starting with? Building the systems, building the structures, community sensitization, awareness creation, mindset change, community information system. I want to inform the listeners, the other facility for the revolving fund under the parish model, don't expect it soon. It will come, we'll start with some little money this year to test the systems, but I can see it coming towards the 3rd quarter, maybe around January, February next year. But right now, we are saying this model, let's first build it. Let the population understand what we are talking about. Let them critique it, give us their views, so that by the time we say there is also a revolving fund to support you to borrow and put in your business, then everybody's on board.
How much money, if you say you have already started, how much money has been sent to each parish? And have they been sent to all the 10,594 parishes so far?
It depends on the number of parishes which have had vacancies. So I can assure you that every district has received enough funds both for the recruitment and the wage bill for those parish chiefs, depending on the number they have. But also, as we go along, we'll ensure that these parish development committees are facilitated.
Okay.
We have only got 200 billion this year from Parliament. The government had thought we could start with about 490 billion, but Parliament gave us 200 billion. Now, even if you divided it by the 10,594 parishes, it comes only to 18.8 million. People have been thinking that would start with 30 or 50 million. No, it can't happen in the first year.
Okay.
In the subsequent years, the commitment of government is to ensure that at every parish we have not less than 100 million to support this production, productivity, and this entire effort.
Good. Let me bring in the colleagues here. Starting with Honorable Mapenduzi. You have been for, I think, the last 10 years a chairperson of a district called Gulu. And you have seen this happen. You have entered right into the deep end of this discussion, the parish development model. Are you satisfied with the mantra, let me call it that for lack of a better word, that this is going to be the game changer in enhancing household income?
Well, my brother Charles, first I have to, just from where the Honorable Minister stopped, I think the intention and the idea is definitely something that we have to appreciate. And I would say this is not the first time that government is making efforts to come up with ways of trying to see the country better. And I definitely appreciate that. But I think there are things that we have to talk about, and just as you put it, before I handed over, before I left that office as chair of the local government of Gulu, and right as you put it, I was in that office for 10 years. But of course I joined the local government in 2006 and served as a councillor and district council speaker. But coming to this particular program, I think there are things that have to be put right from the start. And the moment we do not lay a firm foundation, or we do not start on the correct path, we then create room for serious failures. And these are things that should not be ignored. I'll start with the guideline. Recently, we received copies of the guideline, which I think came out in June. But before even having that, there's been so many documents in the name of driving the agenda, guiding the implementers on how they should execute this assignment to achieve the purpose. Before I left, one time I sat with the executive and our team, and there was a presentation on how the parish model is going to be implemented, and the Minister of Finance issued the indicative planning figure. And when we sat with the executive committee to consider that, there was an IPF of about 45.7 million shilling for each parish. And then later on, another IPF came, now reducing, because from the 45.7 million, each sub-county was, parish was supposed to have about 30 million shilling as a parish development fund, and then about 15.7 to run the process, buying things like a motorcycle for the parish chief, and other administrative expenses, and of course mobilizing the communities to form cooperatives and all that, those processes. So taking about 15.7 million. And then later on, the information I got, that was after I had left, is that another IPF came. Like for Gulu City, at first it was about 1.4 billion. And then later on, probably that explains what the Honorable Minister said, it came down to 500 million. And as I speak right now, the local governments have received money. Gulu District, local government received 70 million. And Gulu City received about 120 something million shilling.
Gulu City has how many parishes?
Gulu City has about 32 parishes. And Gulu district has about 48 parishes. Now, I have interacted with the people who are mandated to spearhead the implementation.
You said Gulu district received how much?
Gulu district, and I'm told this is first quarter release. Gulu district received 70 million. Now, this is first quarter. And then Gulu City.
And these are for the 48 parishes?
Yes, actually 47 to be specific. Gulu district has 47 parishes, well planned, budgeted for. And Gulu City has 32 parishes. So when you look at the figures for Gulu City, is 125,520,000 shilling, first quarter release. And then Gulu City is about 70 million. And then when you look at the breakdown, first, there is a confusion, and I think the Honorable Minister needs to take this seriously. The people who are supposed to spearhead the process of the implementation are saying, yes, we have received this money, but there's been lots of different information that are not, there is no uniformity in this. But also secondly, the money that has been released, there is no accompanying breakdown and also guidelines on how they should spend it. So there are a lot of imaginations, and the people I interacted with, partly they're saying, okay, part of this money is to buy things like computers, doing training, but also the most interesting part, Honorable Minister, is that they fear to even touch the money. So they haven't used the money. And this is first quarter release. And this money is expected to lay the foundation, set the base for the program to move on. So my question is, if the people who are expected to do the actual implementation right from the start have this level of confusion and fear touching the money, because there is the money on their account, there is no guideline, they have information coming from, like one I spoke to, without mentioning names, told me, you know, we are even not sure about the composition because there are instructions from different angles. And I think government should...
What do you mean different angles?
Different
Ministry
different
of
groups.
Finance, local government?
Different groups, Ministry of Finance, local government, there are even other agencies, and there are other key players.
What do you mean other agencies?
Well...
Which other agencies give instructions on how to use government?
I'll come to that. I'll come to that.
Marwa clubs.
Huh?
Marwa clubs.
Doctor, please. So the few people I've interacted with, and I have talked to the people in Gulu district, Gulu City, I have talked to those in Kitgum, Arua, and when you hear their expression, then you know there is a problem right from the start. And also just to end, you know, Charles, it's definitely a good idea, but I think there are three key things that we always have to take seriously for us to succeed. For a program like this to succeed and for us to fight poverty effectively, yes, the aspect of knowledge is key. And then the aspect of resources is key. And the goodwill, which the Honorable Minister talked about, the mindset aspect and all that. But I think there is need for us to go much deeper. I'll challenge you and the Honorable Minister. If we are talking about providing, say, 45 million shilling for every financial year per parish, are we being fair to ourselves? Or are we really going to deal with poverty? Are we not trying to massage poverty? Because I'll give you the example of a ward in Gulu City. And to be specific, let me talk about Kasubi ward. This is a ward with over 30,000 people. And you are treating this ward that is highly populated the same way you are treating another ward in a rural area, say Kiteng Parish in Owalo sub-county, which has a population of about 1,000 people. And so we should be sensitive to this. But also, when you go to some of these places, a parish in Gulu or in Agago, or say in Arua district, is probably the size of a sub-county elsewhere. Are we going to treat them uniformly? But also the other thing is that we should look at other indicators. Like recently, UBOS released some statistics.
Yeah, household.
Showing how the country is doing in terms of poverty level.
Yeah, poverty spread across the country.
And then it puts actually sub-region higher than any of these areas, I think followed by Busoga and Karamoja and like that. But again, we are beginning to look at the parishes across the country uniformly, and we think we are going to be, so I think there should be consideration. We should go much deeper. The problem I have seen in this country, and using my experience of working with the local government, is that sometimes we have very brilliant ideas, but the level of commitment that we put, I do not know whether our technical people fear challenging
the politicians.
The politicians. So we do a good job.
Okay.
Or I do not know whether the politicians put unnecessary pressure that the technical people fail to put the correct pieces together. These are things that have to be looked at.
Okay.
And well, maybe just to put it plainly, we need to look deeper and see the many programs that we have implemented. And I'm not going to talk about the so many programs. But it's interesting when somebody says this is going to be that vehicle that will reach the last man and woman in the village.
Okay.
Have we not been there? We have been there. There's been so many other programs.
The latest is, of course, Myoga.
The latest is Myoga.
Which we are talking about.
And if you hear members of parliament tell stories, because recently parliament decided that members of parliament should go to their respective areas, do an oversight assessment of how Myoga is performing. I was in Gulu City with my colleagues, and when we tell you our findings, it's not good.
Okay.
We should start from that point.
Of course, Myoga, we thought we would tackle it together with the parish development model discussion, but I was advised that Myoga itself is so huge an issue, and I'm going to ensure that with my team we find time and discuss Myoga as alone on its own.
I agree with you.
And but you can keep bringing in the lessons from Myoga to inform the discussion on parish development model, because our intention is to make it better, and like the minister says, to critique and ensure that the parish development model is improved. But let me come to, thanks Mapenduzi, let me come to Dr. Atim from Amolatar. You chair, you lead the Agriculture Committee, and there is the 39 that is talked about as, you know, within the subsistence agriculture, and that their lives are supposed to be changed. They are supposed to be to be made to enter the money economy with this money. And you heard what the Honorable Minister has just said. Do you think that this is the panacea to that?
Thank you very much for the question. I've always been a very optimistic person, and so I want to disagree with my honorable colleague that in every program design, there's always a baseline or a research that has been done to inform the decision. I think our discussion now should be about how it will work and how this program will enable us move our people from where they are to the desired place that we want to see them. And so I wouldn't want to dwell so much on the framework of the development and the guidelines and all that. My interest would be, is it the right thing to do and at this time and with the right people? My answer would be yes, And bringing this in the context of the so many programs that have been done and has been talked about, and I think we'll continue talking about it. One unique thing I see with the parish development model is that for the first time, I think we are taking a program to the people to decide what they want to do with that money or with the investment that the government is going to do. And therefore, in the context of planning and decision making, this model presents an opportunity where the community are no longer beneficiaries of programs. If you look at all these programs that has been happening, is that somebody sits somewhere, develops it, and assumes that my village people will be the beneficiaries. But a parish development model presents an opportunity where the community are going to be active participants. Whether it is 10 million or 20 million or 40 million, for one, they're going to sit down and decide what they want to do with the money. So in terms of the planning, the decision making, which is very critical in rural development and the rural economy kind of stimulus, I find the parish development model moving towards that direction of empowering our people. Now, as Agriculture Committee of Parliament, we see this parish development model as a vehicle of fiscal decentralization of this country. We've had decentralization policy for quite some time, and we've done so well in the administrative aspect of it, creating parishes and constituencies and all that. But I think for once, we are seeing money going up to where it's supposed to be. And as a committee, we've been struggling with my predecessors in all the rest of the parliament, always seeing that much as this is an agricultural-based economy, very little money has been directly invested. I have 85 parishes in my district, and I do not see that this money going to be invested in any other thing other than agriculture. So as a people's representative, but also as a vice chair of the Agriculture Committee, that money going to that district is going to be directly invested in agriculture. And so in my view, one, it will increase the fiscal space of the local government, and two, it will also go directly in the investment of agriculture of my people. However, much as it addresses all these kind of things, I see an element of our community being guided to make the right decision, particularly in the aspect of, especially in the aspect of enterprise selection. As Honorable Minister stated, and also my Honorable colleague, is that yes, we are taking 40 million or so, or 10 million, but is our community going to be guided to make the right decision of the enterprises they want to do? I've also seen in the pillar where there's going to be a specific investment on, I think, processing, value addition, and marketing. But in my view, I think as we lay the foundation, we need to be cognizant of the markets. Can we bring the private sector players in this game? Because however much we invest in the production of all these enterprises that our people will choose, if we miss out the participation and active involvement of the private sector to offtake and provide the markets directly, then most likely we are going to still get ourselves trapped in the idea of producing so much and having nobody to take it up. So in terms of investment and in terms of really involving the community, I find it as one of the models that may work for our people. If we direct, if we mentor people and guide them to make the right choices. But also the other final thing that I see in this model is that for long, programs have come, yes, but the implementation has been kind of held back. Before I joined Parliament, I was in local government, so you're dealing with the local government fraternity. And we did quite a lot of research, analyzing all these budgets that are passed every other year. And you'll be amazed that almost 65% or 70% of that money remains here in the center. In fact, I wanted to hear that my honorable minister saying that money has gone to the parish, not the district or the sub-county, because this model is meant
for the parish
is meant to survive or to maneuver all this bureaucracy and hurdles that have been in place that denies our people to access the services that they have. So in terms of devolving or sending money directly to the people, I really think that the model will work for our people, and it will kind of address the challenges of bureaucracies, decision-making, and all these kind of things, and directly reaching the people.
Thanks. Dr. Muhomuza, you have been in the Ministry of Finance as an insider. Then you stepped out and you now analyze the policies, the planning, the execution, or implementation of these policies of government. Do you think that the parish development model, given what your colleagues have so far said, is a more effective implementation of a government policy to make money reach the people? And are you satisfied, on top of that, are you satisfied with what the minister has talked about as the areas to invest in and using this 45 or 35 million shillings to each parish?
Thank you, Charles. I'm not very sure I stepped out of the ministry.
You will tell us more.
I did officially, but
because I would actually understand you, because never step out of where there is money.
When you are a development practitioner,
yeah,
you are always in the space of development.
Yeah.
And as long as it's still called the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, it is in my space.
Good.
So I'm not in its space, but it is in my space. And I want to pledge, like the academia continue to lead under the COVID issues. We want to pledge that as development practitioners from the academia, we will continue to provide the necessary information, guidance to these development initiatives.
Yeah.
And like the minister said, and I can hear the conversation, this is an evolving situation, just like COVID. Mm-hmm. Now, many of us may not know the chemistry behind you putting alcohol on your hands, but that's from the academia. The lab of the chemists have told you just use it. Use soap, social distance, put on your mask, it will work. And it has worked.
And where do you put the alcohol?
Now, we also came up, even the bishops and whatever, you just use it. Now, vaccines came and people said, do they work, do they not work? Europe is an open experiment. A year ago, they are locked up in their homes. They have vaccinated, they are out watching football, drinking in bars, no masks, no social distance, they are not in hospitals. That's the evidence. So whether it works or not, trust the academia. We will make our contribution here.
That's a good one.
And I'm not surprised that people are worried. Because the minister has literally put it, imaginations. That's why he said, even Marwa Club are making contributions. And people are listening to them, and they have their right. Anybody thinks, I know it. Anybody is agreeing, but it is a conceptualization of how does development work. And we are in the middle of that conceptualization, just like we are in the middle of the COVID situations. But there are certain things we are sure of how they work. Now, those are what have been laid out in the pillars. Now, the detail is going to continue evolving.
Yeah.
And don't be deceived that it is 11 million, 30 million, or 7 million. It's actually a lot more than that. And we are working with the Ministry of Finance to come up with the real facts on what are the numbers of monies going into the parish to do these pillars. Forget even if you remove the word parish development model. Government has been already sinking money into the parishes. So when I hear people saying, when is it starting? What do we do with the money that has come? Every money that is going into a primary school is part of the parish development model, under the pillar on social services, education and health. And remember, the government policy has always been a primary school in every parish. That has not changed, and those budgets have been released. Now, the trouble we usually get, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, up to Friday, teachers do roll call. Present, sir, absent, madam. Present, sir, absent. Now, you wait for your neighbor to discover that children have dropped out of school. Why didn't you use that community information system done every day to say, but the girl who sits here from Monday to Friday has not come? That girl has a neighbor who would say, you know, she got married, or she's sick, or they migrated. Now, that information from the classroom to the headmaster can go to the parish chief, can go to the village people, can go to the councillor to report that issue. You don't have to wait for your neighbor. That's what we're calling the community information system. Can we use it? Now, you can't use it if there is no parish chief in the village. Where do I report? A nurse is missing, and today we are discussing, in the academia we do discuss these things, where you come and say the nurse here was absent. Remember, there are supposed to be 3 nurses in that facility. So certainly one of them is supposed to be off on a certain day or a certain hour. Now, when you find her off for her hour of rest, you will say she's absent. But the problem is actually the government never put another one. Now, the parish development model is beginning, as the minister said, with the administrative staff. Can we have all these people in? You're talking about 5,600 parish chiefs who are missing. We also have statistics of over 2,000 agricultural extension staff who are missing. Now, all those are going to come on board to be recruited. Now, this is another government investment that is going in. And it's already, some of these are already provided for under your gift. You saw the PSST wrote a letter recently and said, if you do not recruit and the money is available, because people have been receiving money, but not recruiting. This is the oversight function of the politicians. They are supposed to know money has been released to recruit extension staff. Can the cow deliver? You pass these budgets, what is happening? Now, the parish development model, through that parish development association and the parish chief, giving a report to the sub-county chief, giving a report to the cow, they will be reporting to the district council on progress on that district budget every quarter or as and when the needs arise. So that's why we're saying this is, besides the revolving fund, you are really transforming a lot of government to put government at the grassroots. Now, why should I spend 120 billion to buy inputs through NADS, give it to the farmers who have an extension staff? They are going to lose them. Now, we are saying in the current thinking, I can even convince government, and for us in the academia, we'll do this. Take it or leave it, we will give you the views. To say, why don't you scale down the NADS money for inputs and first recruit extension staff? Because now you are giving seeds, people are planting, crops, pests, and whatever are eating your investment. First, secure it by putting an extension staff. But most importantly, we know that the NADS inputs are less than 15% of the inputs in agriculture. So why don't I secure the private investment, which is 85%, by saying, me, Mr. Government, let me concentrate on extension staff. Because when a cow or a goat or a chicken falls sick, out of your own money you borrowed from your friends from a bank, and there is no extension staff, you are going to lose it. But to put an extension staff in this district is a responsibility of government. Because if you leave it to an individual, it's going to be cumbersome, they will never manage. And I think that's where the minister came from to say, what is going first? Revolving fund can go later. But let's first put these administrative staff in place. Let local government exist to begin with. Okay. So the conceptualization is coming from there. There is already money going for health, money going for education, money going for roads, money going for energy. Ministry of Water is in the business of installing boreholes, protecting springs. Now, the reporting system, one of the things that is happening is alignment of budgets and plans to the parish development model to say, Minister of Education, how much money do you have for this initiative? Of that, how much is going out to the parish? How much remains at the sub-county to support the parish? How much is remaining at the district to support the parish activities? How much is at the headquarters to support the parish activities? Okay. But also the results framework is being structured that way. That now you will be reporting from Ministry of Water. Don't just tell us we have constructed another 760 boreholes this year by parish. Now, I am able to collaborate with the parish chief to actually find that result and authenticate it. And the district council will now have the power to say, you said you are going to do 560, 40 are supposed to be in my district. Where are they? And they will follow up. So this is going to improve a lot of things for us as we go forward.
I just need to hear you before I bring in Sarah. The Honorable Mapenduzi referring to the fear for money to even touch or spend what has been sent to them because of lack of clarity of instruction. What do you say about that?
I would be interested in knowing, because as I said, conceptualization and imaginations. There are certain people who think the parish development model is a new thing. So any money coming on it, don't touch it. Now, that is also a good thing for me. Because for you to touch it and do the wrong thing, you better not touch it. Because we are just in the first quarter. You can still spend it. But there is the monies that have been released, like for recruitment of parish chiefs.
But you see,
why don't you do that?
Just to, sorry for this interruption. I think
it's okay.
I think that's where we go wrong. And that's where we probably have a problem. We need to have the correct start. The Honorable Minister has a target, and he mentioned that very clearly. He said his target is that by end of September, we should have the parish chiefs recruited.
Yeah.
Money has been sent. There is no guideline, so they cannot have those activities.
And again, I don't think that is true.
No. But that's what you're saying.
What guideline do you need on recruitment of a parish chief?
No, wait a minute. Local governments cannot utilize money without having a clear breakdown.
Yes.
All right. Now I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
The other thing that we also need to look at critically is that just like, because I would want the minister to have those clear instructions and demands as he put it.
Yeah.
But there should be, the other ministries should also work in line with that. Otherwise they would be failing the local government ministry, a ministry with very good intention. And then there are other, let me give you an example of, I interacted with the Gulu team, the Gulu district team and the Gulu city team.
Yeah.
The cities, and the Honorable Minister knows this, the cities, new cities have instituted their service commissions. There are also districts, like Gulu district did not have a service commission. When I was chairman, I went ahead in line with the provision of the laws to have a fully instituted service commission. The new leadership thought that was their mandate, and council decided, no, we are not going to do that. Let's wait for the next council. And then we said, okay, the law allows that a district can borrow the services of another service commission.
Sure.
Again, the district failed to do that, even after recommendation. So you have a district like Gulu and a city like Gulu that is waiting from public service to have the service commission approved. And then the public service ministry is doing its own thing, not understanding the urgency and the target of the local government minister.
And
so
you are saying it is multi.
Exactly. So it's important that every player for Ministry of Local Government to achieve this target, every agency and ministries have to understand that we need to do things, otherwise there is a culture of people doing their own things.
Okay.
I think his answer is actually in his submission. Because you can see when he was there, he had provided an option. Because for me, the recruitment of a parish chief is very clear. And what we found on the record, many of these had actually raised the gaps. But every time they would write to finance, they would be told there is no money. for salary and for the recruitment. And that's why the minister is saying the first thing that was addressed was that no money business. They did not complain about the processes because rightfully as he has put it, the processes have options. You can borrow from a neighbor, you can institute, but it looks like some people are now having their local interests, which does not require new guidelines. The provisions are within the district, but they are using this as an excuse.
I need to bring in Sarah.
Which was my point of the Marwa Club.
Yes, a small one.
Yeah.
I think listening in from my honorable colleague and Dr. Fred is that as a country, there is this animal called program-based planning and budgeting. When you listen in, you see that the parish development model is actually the bedrock of that program-based. Yeah. Can we have all the different sectors come to a parish and put that money, which can be tracked using the systems that is going to be in place? So I think the discussion of the parish development model is not in isolation with the program-based planning and budgeting that is current,
especially as opposed to the project.
Project-based. So the problem is that the country is so used, the sectors are so used to projects. Now, parish development model is a program. It's not an individual project that is going to do this. It's a program that encompasses all the different programs at the parish level.
Sarah, before we go for the break, I need to bring you in. The issue for the issue for the civil society, and you belong to the civil society actively, is that they would want to see change or improvement in the pocket, direct. And from what you have been hearing, government through the minister here has its plans phased out, the 7 pillars. And then they want to start with maybe attitude change, putting in place the structures before the revolving fund comes in. Do you think those interventions can put money in the pocket? Are they different from what has been done before?
Charles, before I come to your specific question, I want to join my co-panelists in underscoring the historical role of parishes in community development and mobilization. Historically, parishes have been at the center of mobilizing communities for development. Even during census, you know, under the cooperative movement, when they had the storage facilities, encouraging families to have silos for food security and even a surplus for sale, and ensuring proper management of harvest, you know, towards the market. And among the pillars for the parish model is market linkages. But as you talk of market linkages, you need to understand details of that supply chain from the garden. First is from the seedlings, the garden, then management, harvest, storage.
To the plate.
Yes, then market, and what are the players in those systems? Yes, so the model talks about involvement of private sector and all these details, but there's a missing link. First is the point raised by Honorable Mapenduzi on disparities between rural poverty and urban poverty. Urban poverty is, though he mentioned Gulu, but rural poverty is higher than urban poverty overall in the UBO statistics. Rural poverty is at 55%, urban poverty is at 23%. But also the regional multidimensional poverty rates that are glaring, with West Nile and Karamoja at 76%, Bugiso at 72%, Teso at 50%, Kigeza at 49%. So how are these? If you read all the documents on the parish model that are available to the public, you do not see how there is an intention to balance these challenges. Other challenges compared to programs before that you did ask of include the bureaucracy. Already you can see, and I'm sure that maybe the Honorable Minister should guide us, and the chair of the local government committee. But it will be unfortunate if this parish model is designed and the biggest chunk of funding goes into administrative costs. That would be very unfortunate. The other challenge is, of course, the usual one of corruption, then weak market linkages, politicization, which happened to Emyoga, as you said, you will have a day for discussing Emyoga, and the fault lines in the legal framework. The parish model has 2 success plans that we could benchmark from, and I don't know where research was done, but we have the experts here. The parish development model has worked successfully in Malaysia and South Korea. But there are challenges that were mitigated in these best practices of Malaysia and South Korea, which are missing in the planning of Uganda's parish development model. In Malaysia, for example, the focus was on poverty eradication programs and forming of farmers' associations. So they categorized societies, those that are much affected, those in absolute poverty, like I've given the figures per region, those that are doing better off, including from household survey data that we do have with UBOS. And the immediate interventions were first to balance these poverty disparities. But you don't see this approach in our implementation. The other approach that Malaysia did implement was restructuring of society to remove economic balance. Their issue was on race imbalance and regional imbalance. We have regional imbalance here, as much as we don't have race, but we have regional imbalance. So what are the strategies, interventions in our parish model that are aimed at removing these regional imbalances, especially the northern divide? Because it's now northern Uganda and Bugisu that are have the highest rates of poverty at household level. What are the interventions before you cover the country? It would have sounded better for the minister to say, according to UBOS statistics 2021 released in April, this is the data. Our first focus is these regions. And these are the reasons. Every Ugandan would have understood that. The other issue that Malaysia used was removing the middlemen and reducing administrative costs by implementing direct cash transfers. I know that Ugandans could be traumatized through the cash transfers by the Prime Minister's office of COVID. But it's important to reduce administrative burden of this program if it is to be successful. How they do it, maybe they know better. So then when you bring in the South Korea example, South Korea marked all the villages and implemented what was known as the village development movement. It's important to note that after the war, many people had thought South Korea would take 100 years to recover. But with the implementation of parish development models spearheaded by the village development movement, their recovery was 9 years, as compared to the predicted 100 years. So, Honorable Minister, where are you benchmarking from? How are you using interventions to balance the disparities in poverty, disparities in development per region, so as to make sure the parish development model is successful in Uganda?
Good, thanks. A very good note to go for a break on. And when we come back from the break, Honorable Minister, I want to start with the question in the room that we must face. Is this a political tool to get more hearing, or is it a poverty eradication tool? That we must ask and answer. And the answers, the questions will come from the discussions that we have been having, and then we proceed. And feel free, interject where you think you need to, so that we understand each other. The good thing I like about the minister is very handy on these things to do with local government and development, and so he will be able to respond to all of them and to check.
Now that it is a wealth creation tool,
yeah,
not poverty eradication.
Okay, that's a nice one. Let's go for the break.
What is the difference? You just want people to feel
We shall
good.
start from there.
You just want people to feel good moment.
No.
Let's go for the break.
smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home, oh my Uganda.
I know with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home, under the sun so bright, under the moon at night, on my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey mama,
My Uganda, my Uganda, my Uganda, my Uganda. Nigukunda, my Uganda. Amari, alemira, my Uganda,
nyowe nikugonza,
my Uganda,
amina ngojo, amina ngojo.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Five times the winning, yeah. 5 times the happiness, yeah. 5 times the luckiness, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5. 5 times the money, yeah. 5 times the shopping, yeah. 5 times the prizes, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5.
Win 100,000 Uganda shillings weekly in the 5 for 5 jackpot. Simply download the Sente mobile app. Click Sente on the go to open your account online. Transact 5 times or more using Sente mobile, Sente Visa, and Sente agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank, our bank. Centenary Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94# to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94# to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175# and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Echa COVID-19 kijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Welcome back from that break, and we are into the second segment and the final one of the discussion on the parish development model. The question is whether the parish development model is a panacea for increasing household income, whether Ugandans can, the local ordinary person can, after, can we say, 5 years of its implementation, say, now I am better off in the pocket and I can feel the improvement of the economy other than just hearing about its improvement. The discussion we are having with the Honorable Raphael Majezi, Minister of Local Government, Honorable Ojara Mapenduzi, Chair, Local Government Committee, Accounts Committee of Parliament. We have Dr. Atim Agnes Apea, who is Vice Chair, Agriculture Committee, Dr. Fred Muhumuza, a policy analyst, and Councillor Sarah Birete, who is the Executive Director of the Center for Constitutional Governance and comes from the civil society community. Before we went into the break, Honorable Minister, you received a lot of comments here and there, thoughts, but one that stood out most coming out towards the end was whether this, first of all, what informed the intervention of the parish development model, what research informed it, but most importantly, given the probably little money, is this just one of those political tools, or is it meant to address the question of poverty and eradicate it across the country? And even better still, Dr. Fred Muhumuza said, is it what can actually increase wealth as a wealth creation, if you like?
Thank you very much, and thanks, colleagues, for the issues raised. I take note.
Yeah.
And for me, as I said, we're still at a learning stage.
Yeah.
We're still trying to share views on what is the best for Uganda. We can learn from Malaysia, we can learn from Korea, we can learn from Singapore. The cases are there. But I think the best learning, the best lesson is Uganda. We've had other wealth creation programs. This is not the first, as the Honorable Mapenduzi pointed out. We've had Bonavagagawale, Wealth for All. We've had Ntandikwa. We have had, now there is a Myoga, and others. We can criticize them, but I think let's also give credit where it is due. At a certain time, I think around 2010, we were talking about 68% of our people still in subsistence. If UBOS today, and it's the most credible institution we rely on for data, is saying, look, in 2021, we're talking of 39%. This has not come from heaven. All these programs have added to this kind of achievement. And they inform us on what we should avoid, what we should do, what we should improve on, including the sectoral programs. So for me, there are certain key things that we need to look at and agree on. Number one, is this politics? Is it another gimmick to get votes for the NRM? Or is it a truly development program? Now, I would be very, very scared if we looked at the parish model from the lens of politics, that you see, if we did this well, it would give a mileage to the NRM come 2026. If that happens, then you may lose an opportunity in your area, because the Parish Development Committee will be chaired by the parish chairperson who is in place today. Whether it is an FDC or a DP or NRM, we are putting 100 million at your parish. Now, if you want to say this is politics, let me not use it, or let me spoil it. People will test your leadership capacity. I've been a member of parliament, and colleagues are here. We are always asking for, where is the development fund for my constituency? What can I use as a member of parliament to make a change in Igara West? And my sister knows Igara West very well. We have 25 parishes. We could have, you know, when the government said, no, let's stop this constituency development fund, I think the members of parliament were getting 10 million or something like that. Within 25 parishes, 100 million per parish, I'm going to expect 2.5 billion shillings in Igara West. 2.5 billion per year. For 5 years, you're talking of something massive. If this area cannot change with this input, in addition to the money for roads, water, whatever is going there, then if I look at it and say, now this is politics, so let me either spoil it or use it to my own credit, you're making a mistake. This is not coming in a, and I'm glad at the timing. There was some money which was released towards the elections, and the people have said, but was this a casino, was this what? This is coming now. Now there is no politics. Now the MP in place is the MP in place. If you want to contest, you should go to the courts. The president here is the president here. We have 5 years to make a difference to our country. This is a program to develop our areas. Really, if you are the chairman, LOC2, and everybody is agreeing, let's take the money there. Now, if you want to say, if I implement this program, the government will, no, you are you are the government there. You are the person in charge of that government. So, let's use this facility without looking at the politics. We are actually involving the members of parliament in the monitoring committee in the districts because you have an oversight function. How can somebody put 2.5 billion in my constituency and I think it's not my MPs even are part of the roads committees in the districts. So for me, I think if you still believe that this is about politics, you may miss an opportunity to cause a change in your community. Then the other serious question is about equity. And I picked it from Sarah, I picked it from Honorable Mapenduzi. It is a good question. Look, there are some parishes which are big. Yeah. In population, there are some parishes which are still poor compared to others. There are some parishes which deserve more support than others. Government has several equalization schemes. And Honorable Apea here was the chairperson of the Local Government Finance Commission. That commission is there to look at equalization grant and ways to make sure that these areas are equalized. Now, this year we have given a DDG, the Decentralization Development Equalization Grant, top up for some areas where we felt the per capita support for equalization was a bit lower than some other areas. So the Luero Rwenzori got less than areas which are outside Luero Rwenzori to make sure that per person, on average, they get some money to equalize for development. But this still remains a relevant question, even for the parish model. My answer is, we're just talking of two months into the program. The figures released by UBOS about poverty situation in the country tend to be regional or district-based. We are yet to get credible parish-based figures about the households in subsistence. And that's what I emphasized in my first discussion. So that's why we're saying, and you asked the question, what are you starting with? Let us start with the community information system. Yeah. Where are these 39%? Now, Honorable Mapenduzi, you may find actually you have a bigger parish with many people, but on average, the number of households still in subsistence in that Gulu city may be far less than what you have in Anaka. So, I can see for now we are using pro rata. You know, we're saying we have 100 divided by 10,000. But my hope is that when we capture this figure, this data, at the parish, and it is transmitted through the sub-county, and we get to know it. In the subsequent years, we must develop a formula which captures what she's talking about. It's not a question of saying the number of people. No, it may be the number of people, but the number of people in Kampala who are still in subsistence is a smaller figure than so many others where the population may be smaller. Okay. So we must target. We must target in accordance with the objective of the model. I totally agree with that, but let's begin somewhere. Yeah. We have to begin somewhere. And you can see we are saying the money is not enough. And Honorable Mapenduzi said, are you massaging poverty? No, it's not massage. And the indicative planning figures, that's why they are called indicative. At that time, they were not final. But we get the final figures from what Parliament approves. Cabinet proposed 490 billion. Parliament approved 200 billion. And as I've said, even if you said all the 200 billion, let it go to the revolving fund. Get 200 billion, divide by 10,594 on your calculator now, it's 18.8. But you can't give all the money to the parish under the revolving fund because you have these initial activities to do. Yeah. You need the parish chiefs. You need the parish development committees. You need the community information system. You need the guidelines. You need these other committees. So I can see out of the 200 billion today, because I presented this model to the cabinet on Monday, we are actually talking of 157 out of 200 going directly to the parishes. Now, the other is a one-off. Everyone is going to recruit parish chiefs. Their wages will be captured under the Ministry of Public Service wage bill. You're not going to continue operationalizing the sub-counties under the parish model because they are supposed to be there. So this will be transferred to the normal budgeting system for the local governments.
Okay.
You're not going to keep on building the community information system software. It will be now operationalizing the system. Okay. So I can see in the subsequent years, as we go towards the 100 million per parish, which translates to about $1 trillion, the percentage to be spent on administration, sir, I believe it will be not even 5%.
When do you expect to spread out to reach the 100?
Next financial year. Next financial. Tomorrow is the budget. Year? Tomorrow is the national budget conference, and we are defending that. We stay saying 2022 onwards, and 100 million may be the minimum.
Okay.
If the national budget does well, so it's not massaging, but we have to start somewhere.
Okay.
But there was some other one or two questions. One was the guidelines are still confusing. You're changing. They are not yet there. Have not signed an official guideline. What you've seen on social media and running around, these are drafts, which we're using to consult, to discuss.
Will it be substantially different?
It will be different because I can see even what came out in the National NRM caucus, in the cabinet, was different from what you have in the guideline. For example, that the fund which goes to the parish, we now think that it should, in future, amalgamate all these wealth funds. Instead of having funds for the youth, funds for the women, funds for the disabled, funds for these women, these youth, these persons with disability are actually at a certain parish.
But the women have come out,
yes,
haven't they?
And we have agreed.
They have said, don't touch our web.
Charles, we have now agreed in the subsequent years, let us provide a quota. Let us agree, because of that affirmative action, whatever fund goes to the parish, at least 30% should go to the women, 30% should go to the youth, 10% should go to the persons. So you'll see that these changes will come with time. But when it comes, we shall bring it to the public and say, this is the guideline for operationalization of the parish model. For now, we had to start with the release of some funds. It's not true that there are no guidelines, no instruction. We've given the instructions. You cannot be a chief administrative officer or a town clerk. You receive money and you say, I'm fearing to use it. You must ask the person sending the money. They know where to get the instruction from. And we've instructed them. There are some funds we said, don't touch for now, because we still think that we first do the first activity, get the parish chief, before you operationalize the parish development committee.
Okay.
But these instructions are there, and it's not true that they get instructions from everywhere. No, they get instructions on funding from PSST and on operations from the PS Ministry of Finance. But
from the did you mean from the PS Ministry of
Finance and Local Government?
Yes.
These instructions
on operations from local government.
All of our team made a very good observations. Can we get these funds directly to the parish? And I think that's what Councillor Sarah said, cut out the bureaucracy.
Yep.
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that as we develop the IFMS, the finance management system for this model, funds will go direct to the parish. But as we speak now, there is no account at the parish. Yeah. So the accounting officer we know now is the chief administrative officer. But he's instructed, he knows this money, this 1 million shillings is going to the parish. He cannot touch it. The money which is under his control is recruitment of parish chiefs in accordance with the number of vacancies that he has.
Okay.
Now, just one more. Dr. Muhumuza, this issue of extension staff, you're absolutely right. We still have a number of vacancies. I was actually going through the figures today. It is 4,200. And that is why we've said it may be difficult for us to think of within the next month all the 4,200 will be there. But our instruction to the chief administrative officers has been make sure that at the sub-county there is an extension officer relevant to the economic activity of that area. If it is a pastoral area, make sure there is a veterinary assistant. If it is a crop area, make sure there is an agriculture officer. If it is a fishing community, make sure there is a fisheries officer, so that we do not wait until we have everybody in place. My hope is that as we go by, as time goes by, we shall really fill all these vacancies, and yeah, we will do even mindset change. Charles, your observation was good. It's not just for the people at the ground. No. Even us in the ministries, what Dr. Mumza calls alignment of budgets and plans to the parish model is quite challenging.
Okay.
And members of parliament, don't be surprised if this issue teases us at the beginning. That you are telling the ministry in charge of water that you have the budget. Colleague, you cannot be providing water without looking at a parish, because the water must be in a certain parish. So how much is going to my parish called Chamhung? You are in charge of roads, thank you very much. But time has come for us to say, what are we doing in this parish?
Okay.
In Gulu City.
Okay.
So it's a good discussion, but for me, I take away some things for further refinement.
Good. Members, let's now feel free to interject whenever. I don't want to go, line by line asking now to contribute. Honorable Mapenduzi, you are raising your hand.
That's right, Charles. First, I want to start with the question you gave, whether this is politics or not. And I joined the Honorable Minister in, I think, Ugandans should
for once
understand that there is a time we need to avoid bringing politics into politicking or politicizing everything. And I think
not that politics is bad, by the way.
No, that's right. I agree with you. Not that politics is bad, but
we don't have to fear politics either.
Perfect. But I think
it's making a difference.
Yeah,
there is politics. There is politic.
That's right. That's right.
That's a good one.
And to be clear, I said politicizing, and also politicking,
and everything. Don't do it in everything.
Thank you for adding that, Doctor. But the main thing here, which I am trying to emphasize, is that I think there is a time Ugandans have to know that there are serious issues affecting us, and we have to confront them. And poverty is number one. And so there is no politics in this. But I also think that when we express our opinion, when we try to point out the things that have always made us fail, and the things that we believe can shape a better direction, we should be able to begin to point out the things that make us keep on running around and don't go forward. People become very defensive, and we should not fear criticism. We should be able to you itches. You don't scratch the head when another part is itching. You scratch that very particular part. And so, much as I fully agree with the Honorable Minister and Doctor who expressed some of these things, I think number one, there is a problem where we deliberately refuse to borrow from the successes of other programs so we can build on them. But also we deliberately refuse to accept that we have failed in areas and we need to learn from them. Some of us are very, we talk strongly about some of these issues because partly when we give the example of programs like Imyoga, Bona Bagagawale, Etandekwa, and so on, youth livelihood program. It's not because this is not a good idea. It's not because I don't support parish development model. I actually support parish development model, and I want to see this idea turn around the lives of the citizens, the people I lead. And so when we express some of these things, it has to be taken a lot more seriously, because at the end of the day, if we fail to appreciate, I will give you an example, Charles. There is a program we have repeatedly talked about. There is a component of the Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, NUSAF 3, called SLP. It was a pilot idea, Sustainable Livelihood pilot. The idea was to try in a few districts, and Gulu, fortunately, was picked as one of the districts, just a few. And the idea here was to look at how to give money to villages where people, first of all, build a strong saving culture, borrow, but also save their own money. And we had 4 clusters in Gulu with about 32 villages, where each village received 36 million shilling. That was in late 2018. I can tell you it's about 2 years or so. These villages, from the 1.5, about 1-point-something billion in total, they have generated much more, including their own saving. It's standing at about 4 billion. Good. Real success. So this is something we can learn from. Now, it defeats my understanding if we are able to support a village giving 36 million shilling with clear guidelines, with proper, functional structures, and they're doing exceptionally well. Why don't we build on such an idea? And then tomorrow you are talking about supporting a parish and giving something much little, something much smaller than what would work. And if we really want to get rid of poverty, we need to know we have to put resources. You come with beautiful ideas, and then when it comes to putting the resources, you begin dragging feet. And I think for us who are members of parliament, I think we have to do everything it takes to make sure an idea that helps in transforming the country needs to be supported. And an honorable minister, I'm fully behind you, that we need to put the resources we need so it becomes something better. But as we do that, we should keep in mind that the things that will make us fail have to be addressed, and we should talk frankly about them. I'll share with you another thing, Charles and the viewers. If you want to solve our problem, you should be able to understand where we are coming from, the environment we live in, the situation we are faced with, and how we think we can navigate and get out of it. This thinking that, of course, without in any way disrespecting the people who try to think and bring these ideas, I think there is a thinking that the people down there probably do not know what they want, which is wrong. Yes, you have a lot of ideas, you have all this knowledge, you have read widely, it's okay. But there are also things that the common man and woman down there, understanding the environment and where they're from, that can do a lot in adding value to these ideas. If you ask me, let me use the village where my umbilical cord is buried, Atiaba Parish, Palliate Village. If you come to, if you want to find out how we can sort out our problem, we will tell you we have got so much land that unfortunately only about 30% of that land is being utilized. So how do you help us to begin to utilize about 50% of that land? And how do you help us to get access to the seeds and whatever it takes to? So then you begin to respond to what we believe can get us out of that. Now, how are you going to, using our village, are you going to solve that problem when you are providing, say, 30 million to a parish? What if our idea is to buy, let's say, oxen,
That's what I was going
get,
to.
Yeah, get oxen, get ox plow, doing animal traction, and how long is it going to take? So it's important that the moment we have a brilliant idea of this nature, we need to design the correct intervention based on what comes from the ground, instead of using a uniform kind of approach and thinking we are going to solve that problem.
Okay, that's fine. Doctor, I wanted to make a follow-up on why did Parliament, in its wisdom, only pass half of what was asked? If
the other Parliament.
Thank you. It's okay. I think I can still answer that.
But she was watching it.
No, but they have been. Haven't you been looking at the?
Course, yes.
She was watching that Parliament. Since she was coming, she had already been elected.
That's why she went there
with more
I
interest.
know. And I think that is where, as policy makers, we've got to be engaged and involved in all these processes of development of our country. I watched that parliament, that 10th parliament, when this program was brought to them. I read on some of the documents, the argument was that there has to be a pilot. And after the pilot, the ministry can then come back to give, you know, the feedback or progress, and then they would fund it.
Which is what you should have done in the 11th parliament, because you were, it's basically the 11th parliament, isn't it? Which was
no, I think the money was, it was approved in 10th parliament. Yeah. For the 11th parliament, the budget which is running now from July was approved by the 10th parliament. Yeah. And so that is why, as members of parliament, and we want to thank you for starting with us from the onset, to really be a part of this process, so that when we are making decisions or we are appropriating funds in parliament, we do understand what it is all about. But I think away from that, in principle, this model provides for us the fiscal stimulus that our country needs at this time.
True.
Where we have the whole impact of the COVID on our economy. But also a country where a majority of our people are really consumers, as opposed to being, you know, productive, and as opposed to having a purchasing power to enhance that rural economy aspect of it. So, and the other aspect also is that as a country, we are beginning to take a leap into industrialization. But as an agro-based economy, what are we going to industrialize? Are we going to make cars or buses, which I think is a good idea, but how many of our population will be able to have that resources to buy whatever we intend to produce? So I think the model really provides that trajectory to the industrialization agenda, particularly the aspect of agro-industrialization.
Okay.
But also the element of, the aspect of all the programs, poverty eradication programs we've been having. One, I was privileged to do an analysis of some of these things that has happened before in terms of government interventions. Majority of them has been an aspect of funding. We are giving you this. I come from a Molatar, and you know how many programs we've had. The PRDP, I don't know up to when, I don't know the fourth one now, NUSAF and all that. But you realize that the framers of these programs has been so much about aid, you know, donor aid kind of approach. But if you look at the parish model, is moving away from the funding to financing a local government at the parish level. And I'm sure one of the data that they want to collect is, if we give you 100 million this financial year, what is going to be the picture like in the next two or 3 years? Yeah. So to me, I think that aspect gives us an opportunity to explore other mechanisms of rural development that has worked in other places.
Okay.
And also in our own country, we've seen how programs have happened, and I hope that we'll be able to build on the successes and address the gaps that has been existent.
Okay. Dr. Muhumuza, I need you to respond to this. Someone called Henry sent a message and says, there was a time when President Museveni moved around the country and preached Bonaba Gagawale and said 20 shillings 25 million per household would, annually. And he said the country had been zoned and government will promote what thrives best per region, e.g. crops, livestock options. And do you think, is this falling by the wayside, or this parish model of development is coming to strengthen that kind of thinking and marketing?
Yeah, thank you. I think these are the differences between the parish model and previous programs. And I will call them programs. Majority of them were projects and programs running in isolation of even some of the local governments. You'll find the project is running in a local government, the cow has no say on it. It is not even synchronizing to address the district development plan's needs, the things that Honorable Mapenduzi has raised. This district has its need, I need oxen. Now there is a project from the center called KAIP, community whatever information, is coming to put a cooler for milk. They are coming to put a silo.
And there is no animal.
There are no animals. But even when the people wanted the animals, they are saying, you know, they shouldn't be milk animals. Because for us here, as minister said, we are crop farmers. The cows we need are not for beef, are not for milk. They are ones for agriculture. Now we are saying all these things, merge them, as the minister have said, put them into the local government, let the district technical team and their political leadership that authorized and approved the district development plan do their thing. And we have seen a lot of these messes. You're talking about equalization here. We have two people who have benefited for the last 25, almost 30 years. Northern Uganda Reconstruction Program, 1995. It ran twice, 100 million, that was 200 million. Then it transformed into Peace Recovery and Development Program, which was another over 100 million, ran twice. Transformed into Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, all of it running in these poverty-stricken, war-stricken areas. 15 years, the guns have been silent. Guru is still one of the poorest. What happened to Nusaf? Why do I have a road fund trying to receive money to send it to the local governments to do their community roads? Close the road fund, because already the local governments have a direct line for receiving maintenance, road maintenance funds. Put that money there. Now, all these administrative sources here, you would rather put them into the recruitment of parish chiefs, sub-county chiefs, and facilitating those district teams, community development officers, mobilization people, strengthen the local government, and then run through government. So one of the things you are going to see, and I believe many people who hate the parish development model are seeing it streamlining activities.
Are there people who hate it?
I have seen many. I even saw why, by the way, one honorable member of parliament said, Muhumuza, we are not going to approve this one.
They told you.
I said, but this man doesn't know that the parish development is already running. You approved the money for schools, you approved the money for health facilities, for road maintenance, for what? That is the thing. So you approved
stopping the bus after it has passed.
But even it is in there, so the conceptualization, they think it is the revolving fund. No, it is strengthening decentralization. And I don't want us to go and benchmark small things. We already 20 years ago, 30 years, benchmarked decentralization. And we have been running it for 30 years. Now we are saying, can we strengthen it? Because there was a lot of re-centralization. Most of these projects have been designed by the center. Now I hear young people are already trying to design NUSAF 4. I asked them, guys, can you give me the mid-term review of all the others so that this is improving on all the others? But certainly we would want it mainstreamed into the system. Poverty is everywhere, and we need to invest everywhere. Equalization, as the minister has rightly put, there are a number of programs already addressing equalization. Not all of them are effective, but partly because we have now realized there was no government. How do you send a Myoga money to a parish that does not exist, is not operational? What do you expect?
Let me ask
somebody will steal it.
During the burial of late Lukech, a senior government officer, no less than the Chief Justice, raised a very sticky issue that, and which I think also Mapenduzi raised, and I needed you, Dr. Muhumuza, to respond to on how the Minister of Local Government and Finance can help improve it. The question of just uniformity of every structure, urban, rural, some with 10,000 households in a parish, some with just 1,000. And the Chief Justice himself raised it and said, some of these places, like in Acholi, he gave the example of Acholi, but I would want to think that he meant any other place which can be a big population as opposed to a small population in a parish. Why in the planning is that not catered for? Can it be not reviewed? Why shouldn't the planners think of a better way of scaling this out?
No, it is actually catered for. Because, like if you get into education, capitation is per number of children.
Exactly.
So there you are not debating whether the population is not captured. It is in the formula. Because the education allocation, the education budget allocation is driven by the numbers.
The budget for roads.
The budget for roads is driven by the kilometers.
Formula.
The budget for health is driven by the size of the hospital, and the size of the hospital is supposed to be driven by the population.
Exactly.
Now, if there is a problem there, the problem is either because we have not updated the records. Because every time I drive through Kira and those ends of Kyarwajala up to Gayaza, you find so many people have moved there that under the system of health strategic planning, there should have been a big hospital to the size of Kirudu to serve that population. But that does not mean it's not in the formula to capture those numbers.
Okay.
Now here we are talking about small monies, 18 million, even if you are to divide, even if you gave all of it to one area. But as the minister has said, we are starting somewhere. And as I've said, this is not a 5-year program. This is decentralization.
Okay.
We have run it for 30 years. Who knows where we will be in another 10 years? As minister has said, even if it is 100 million, in 5 years, each parish will have reached some sizable quantities of money, but we will have fixed the most critical aspects. It is not money that delivers, it is people.
Okay.
If you do not have local government personnel, it doesn't matter how much money you put in.
Sarah, do you see a way forward with this feedback coming in that this program has to be strengthened and maybe even take Uganda to the level of, people talk about Kenya doing much better with devolution and, 15% being sent to the local governments, where we now reach a point and say 30% of the budget should be sent to the parishes?
If we were to follow the spirit of the Constitution, we should have moved into devolution to the stage of Kenya. But the problem is we decentralized at a faster pace, then somehow started recentralizing roles, budgeting, local government returning revenue. You had a motion on the House today. I don't know which side it went. We centralized, moved first, then recentralized. So the parish mode is an opportunity to decentralize again. But there are challenges. There are challenges. Honorable Minister, I didn't see in the plan the issue of population growth. We know that part of our poverty is driven by lack of control on population growth. Yet you have had some political messages encouraging producing until the eggs are finished in the womb. Yet we know that cannot really match. So what is our strategy on population growth as a country? Because we shall not attain middle income status.
With surrogate mothering, you can even borrow more eggs from another.
But studies have also shown that the more people you have, the better for you.
No, but with the incomes like ours, and Dr. Muza will tell us really.
Maybe the quality.
Lack of control on population growth will not make us go to attain middle income like planned as a country. The other challenge is one of the pillars of the parish
Sarah,
development
maybe
model.
before you proceed, I think the debate which we have to take on as a country is the quality of the population.
Of course, how do you
Because
attain that quality?
we cannot just increasing, yeah, we may need them, but do they create demand? Are they becoming a bigger problem?
Yes, and do they have purchasing power? Because the population would be attractive if they had purchasing power to facilitate economic development.
Yeah.
But minus purchasing power, high numbers are not attractive for development. But apart from that, one of the pillars, and I think it's pillar number 1 of the model, is on production, storage, processing, and marketing of produce. In the absence of cooperative movement, I know there are circles and these private actors, but we know the cooperative movement that we used to have in this country, and which would be desirable for such a model. In the absence of that cooperative movement, what are your intervention plans to achieve that?
Okay, we are now reaching towards the end of the show. It's for me, I'm enjoying it, but still, time is also a scarce resource. My team tells me there are so many messages that have come through the online interactions. I want to read some of them. Can I get my producer to just give me some of the messages that have come so that we use the winding time to make comments on some of them. I start with Dennis Musinguzi to the Honorable Minister, and he says, what policy safeguards and guarantees are in place to insulate the parish development model from the previous programs like Entandikwa and Youth Livelihood Project? Dennis, I guess Dennis is asking to avoid some of the pitfalls that the other programs, not to insulate you don't have to necessarily insulate this one from the other programs. I think it is talking about the pitfalls, how to avoid the pitfalls of the other programs. But thanks, Dennis. Joshua Mubunga from Kasese says, thanks for the program, Charles. NADS failed because of politics. My suggestion is that parish development model should not be political. Otherwise, it will fail before it is started. Thanks, Joshua. This one is called Bwayo Magufuli. He's our good listener from Mbale City. And he says, thanks for the program. The parish model would increase household incomes if only it is operational and is allocated to its intended plan, but sometimes the authorities divert the funds to their own intentions. I think that's the speaking to the issue of corruption or abuse of some of these resources. This one is Mukisa Agre from Bale. He says, thanks for the show. I am Mukisa. I was not well versed with that program of Emioga, but now I'm following and getting the right information about it from the Honorable Minister. Thank you. Thanks to Mukisa. More messages. Bwambale Landus from Kasese. I suspect this is a bonanza from government. The Honorable Minister, there you are. Someone is already thinking the same way. We are failing to implement the Myoga program for reasons like low interest rate charge, high costs of administration, politicization, and corruption. Okay, give me, I wish you could get some others, but it's okay if those are the ones you have selected. So, we need to start making now the final way forward comments. And perhaps I should start with Sarah now, since we are now going to have just a round, so that the minister will be the last. Sarah, you have seen the discussion, the angle it has taken. What are some of the challenges to this program? What is your view on way forward on how to handle it?
I think to me the way forward is in 3 ways, and we have talked about it throughout the discussion. One is establishing the household, statistics on figures on those households in subsistence, and there should be a target including the people in absolute poverty, so that they are the first targets to create a balance in development in regions as well as in households, and get everybody out of poverty. We have the recent statistics of 8.3 million people who have fallen into poverty, largely due to COVID economic impact. So that's the figure generally in terms of numbers that should be the first focus when the administrative and preparatory phase is done with. The second aspect is to interlink the multi-sector interventions to create development and make sure we attain middle income as a country. I think it's important to note that Tanzania attained middle income even amidst COVID 2 years ago. Kenya is already ahead. So Uganda, I wouldn't wish to see countries like South Sudan and Burundi attaining middle income in the East African community before Uganda. We know that there are only 7 districts in Uganda that have attained middle income status. So Honorable Minister should keep announcing at the end of the year how many districts have joined these 7 giants to attain middle income. But also it's important to know that most of these populations are in lower middle income status, where they face a high risk of falling back away from the middle income status. And the third aspect is to concretize that, those thoughts on production, storage, harmonizing production, storage, and marketing. I think we need to reestablish the cooperative unions the way we used to have them in this country. Minus that infrastructure that they created, we might still be beating about the bush.
Okay, thanks. Dr. Muhumuza, your thought on how best to, someone talked about the pitfalls of the past programs. How can those lessons learned inform the improvement of the parish development model so that it's foolproof?
I think, as we've said already, there are inbuilt mechanisms to sort out those problems. Most of those programs came as isolated programs, so they suffered from what they did not find: strong, effective local government systems. This business you are hearing where the minister is saying 716 sub-counties and town councils are not operational. Now you send a program to operate within where local government does not exist. Certainly this one is addressing that. The other part that has come in is the sequencing. Before you even release money, can you first sequence? I saw that in the COVID release funds that we had, which everybody has called the Nabanja money. You begin to say Minister of Gender would know where the vulnerable are. It certainly can't know them. So it quickly wrote a letter and said, oh, town clerks and whatever, can you help? But these are the town clerks who are saying are not even in place. So I'm not surprised that it ended up where it ended. But now we are saying, let's sort out that. Let there be a town clerk who has a list of their people. But also on the 39 in subsistence, only about 24 point something are in agriculture. The other 15 are actually in urban areas. Now this is a departure, because previously we were not focusing on the vulnerable in urban areas. Now this one, that's why it's talking about the town wards to also be beneficiaries. The people who are not in agriculture, but they are also subsistence in a sense. Because when you lock down for a week, these people cannot survive. True. So we are bringing in all those on table, but most critically, let's appreciate that household consume a package of these services. That road is not just for carrying beans, because I hear people saying, can we build roads so that when people harvest? They use that same road to go to school. They use that same road to go to the health facilities. So please, let's look at the whole comprehensive thing. And the reason I said, as final thing, not just putting money into people's pockets. We also want to help them to preserve the money. We have models from banking institutions which have lent people money and actually somebody increases from 1 goat to 5 goats, then all of a sudden the wife has to deliver. And there is no functioning government health facility. All their money is sold, and they lose all the goats. This is wealth creation and preservation. So if that government facility was working, it wouldn't disrupt their livelihood. So we are saying invest in health, invest in education, invest in roads, so that people, once they pick up to move to middle income status, they do not come back. This gives us an opportunity to across the 360-degree approach of development.
Good. Doctor, as you make your parting shot, someone says, I wonder why government has failed to do a tractor hire scheme, which helped a lot under the Obote regime. You can't open large farmland with a hand hoe, and it gets more interesting with erratic seasons given climate change. As Vice Chairperson of Agriculture, in line with what we are discussing, the 39% in subsistence or 37%, make a comment on that as you wind up and give us a way forward.
Thank you very much, Charles. Model. And I think maybe for information of that caller is that government is investing on regional mechanization center. And if he has been following, our current Minister of Agriculture just recently opened a center in the eastern region, I think in Mbale, and for Lango we have in Dokolo. And I think that is a process of mechanizing, of providing services to mechanize our agriculture. But also I've been part of a team that worked with OWC and MAIF as well to introduce and finance what we are calling the Farm Service Center. That will be a center that has all the tractor services, the input services, and all the rest of the things that is required to mechanize agriculture. And so my take for this would be that the parish development model acknowledges that our country, our communities are not homogeneous. And that is why they're giving opportunities for every community to identify what they're good at. For example, my community of Amolatar, we're a fishing community. You're not going to bring coffee there, and we shall go there when we have grown up, knowing that we have our lake. Teach us how to fish better, give us the gears which is required, and teach us how to process, support us to process that fish and access a better market. So homogeneous community, acknowledging our indigenous ideas and knowledge is critical in the success of this model. The other second issue is that world over, research has shown that rural development is a collective responsibility. We should move away from saying it's political, it is for this and that. It's a collective responsibility that all of us need to acknowledge our respective roles. As leaders, we have a role to mobilize. Yeah. As communities, we have a role to identify what works with us, with our indigenous knowledge. So, and also for the the technical people. For long, there is a very big gap between the technical people and the community. So I think this model is bringing them to the people for them to acknowledge that it's very critical, that it's a responsibility all of us to transform our community. And finally, is that this model is bringing us to the same table. For long we have been like, we wait until we're invited for workshops. This time the model is saying, get out of the conference rooms, come to our village and let's talk. Okay. So I think it's an opportunity that our community need to prepare to engage on matters that affects them.
Okay, thank you so much. Honorable Mapenduzi, way forward.
Thank you very much. I'll repeat what I said. I fully support this and believe this is something that can create a lot more impact. But there are things that we need to take a lot more seriously. And just to conclude, number one, I think we need to do the right thing from the start. this mentality of saying, well, let's start, we will keep, yes, learning is a process. We don't stop learning. But you see, at our level, at the level of government, we should be able to know how we can start correctly so that even if we keep on adding value, we are doing the right thing. It has a lot to, in terms of how the final result will come.
The foundation.
The other thing is, I think there is a tendency where people want to rush. I don't know whether it's somebody talk about cash bonanza. Mm-hmm. I think probably there are people who want to make sure we start, even if things are not yet okay, we start, so they can find an opportunity to maneuver and manipulate and get money out of it. I think that's not correct. We should have the patience to develop something that is concrete enough, that works, and that can produce good result. The other thing that I'll say, and just to give you an example, we are saying the parish chiefs are going to be the key, implementers. We are talking about the town agents. But I think, and the Honorable Minister will agree with me, I think we also need to talk to ourselves, whether using previous experiences, whether the parish chief, the Uganda setting of parish chiefs, these are people who are charged with the responsibility of collecting local revenue. But when you look at the different reports, when you go down, these are people who spend money at source. Some of them are, and also the aspect of capacity gap. You are going to be sending money directly to the parish.
Yeah.
But it takes a much more than just that title of a parish chief to see the result we need. And I think that needs to be taken care of.
Okay.
Finally, Ladit Charles, I think it's really important that much as we should not be limited by whatever experience we have had in the past. I think we should be able to learn from those experiences so we can create room for something better. And I don't think it would be fair to begin rushing that let's do this and do that and do this when we know they are well-intended, very positive ideas that were developed but have not worked well. So we should have the courtesy of spending time to dig deeper, learning from those that have not worked on well. Finally, my brother Charles.
That's the second finally.
Oh, this will be the very final finally. My apologies for that. I think as members of parliament, we also need to firmly support the Ministry of Local Government to execute its mandate. There is a tendency where looks like every ministry wants to come with something so they can have an opportunity of running around and being active. If there is a ministry responsible for local government matters, why don't we channel every intervention and all that ministry accountable?
Okay.
But you find another ministry is coming with this, and then another one, and then you find this micromanagement mentality within the Ministry of Finance. I am now look at like the parish model. The minister will say every parish get this amount of money within this financial year, and then there are people who do not care about the outcome, and they say, well, we are going to give you the money in 4 quarters. They are not bothered about the agency. They're
just thinking about they think they are giving it to him as a person. They are not.
Yeah, and then there is also
they don't know that is the center of development.
That's right. And there is also the mentality of ministries and other agencies not appreciating and coming to support
to work together
what another agency or ministry is doing. Because if today we are doing this, we should wait and see them fail so that tomorrow we can come up with something better. That's the wrong mentality. It will not take the country anywhere.
And for me, as an observer, I think I want to challenge you, current MPs, talking of local government, to seriously learn from the Kenyan situation. Kenya has been turned around in probably the last 10 years using devolution. For them, they said the percent is it 15?
Yeah.
Is it 15 or 30?
Actually, they even have a law.
Yes.
They have a law that in every budget, this particular money must
go.
Yeah.
So can I challenge you current MPs? And it's good that many of you have come from that local government structures, because you know that you touch the people most, and you you as leaders, all of us as leaders, serve to serve the people and to change their lives, to better their lives. So if you can champion the act of ensuring that you put pressure, and that is a good challenge to government, even if you are opposition, you are government, NRM, and challenge government and insist that let's agree on 15% or 20%, and let, whenever there is an increment of budget, or even if it reduces, God forbid, that percent must be a constant that must go to the local government. I think we can do that.
So for some of us who have worked with the local government,
we understand.
There is no way we can leave the local governments to continue suffering, and that's partly why today we were able to have this resolution, a resolution to reverse the decision of sending locally generated revenue to the consolidated fund. Crippling the activities of local government. So we want to engage the Minister of Local Government and also support the Minister of Local Government. Because the moment we do that and we empower local governments to function well, then we will begin to see the real result.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Finally, Honorable Minister, way forward.
Thank you, Charles. First, colleagues, thanks so much for this time we've spent, and UBC, thanks for giving us the opportunity.
We appreciate it.
We still have to go through this interaction with the public many, many times. And colleagues, I want to invite you, whenever there is this kind of opportunity, let's use it.
Yeah.
The parish model provides an opportunity for the country to take a serious step to address the issues on the ground. We cannot say we are moving to, even if it's middle income status, blah, blah, when there are still people who, just a little shock on COVID, people are dying. It means our vulnerability is not addressed by what we are doing. So I want to appeal to all of us, because the Honorable Pair has used the phrase, development is a collective responsibility. This is not for me, this is not for Honorable Mapenduzi, this is not for the media, it is for all of us.
Yeah.
I look at the key challenge we have to address, colleagues in the ministries, is to realign our
thinking,
our budgets, our plans, our thinking, to realize that whichever ministry or department of government, you must provide an intervention to the people in a certain parish. And that's the basic. If you are a member of parliament, there is no member of parliament who does not come from a certain parish. There is nobody. But how can you be in parliament 3, 4, 5 terms and the situation is not changing? Now you are going to be challenged. And I've given you the example of Igara West, that on an annual basis, 2.5 billion, in addition to the money for roads, water, education, health, this one is here to say, you people of Igara West, what can you do? Do you want to put the money in the tea? Is it coffee? Do you want to plant more maize? Do you want the mechanization? Do you want to hire your tractors? Do you want to put silos? What exactly can lift this population? And if you multiply by 5 or 6, 7 years, you are in 10 billion. So for me, this is where I say it is an opportunity for all of us. And listening to the people and the views we've received, challenges are many. Corruption. This time, can we, even before we release money to the population, can we think out? Because in the design, we want to strengthen monitoring and evaluation, which may have been weak in other programs. And we are saying, let the Member of Parliament join the district team to monitor this fund. Let even the ministries, especially the Minister for Economic Monitoring, develop a framework with indicators. What will show that my household has transited from subsistence to the monetary economy? You know, these good phrases need to be turned into what Sarah called statistics. We need the figures.
Yeah.
We need to report to the people that this has been done by half, this has not been done because of this reason. My final appeal is really to the local governments. You are a chairman, you are a councillor, you are an LOC, you are whatever. This is an opportunity which we've not had before. My 28 years in local government, and I served at all the levels. In the district, even I was at LOC 1, LOC 2, Secretary for Publicity, blah, blah. Up to the ministry, now in Parliament, I was heading the local government committee. Now as the minister, this is the first time that government commits to provide money in the national budget to a parish. It has never happened before. So let's stop blaming. You can blame government, you can blame Parliament, but now the money is with you. Down there at the parish, you have the chairman of a district. The district, if it has 60 parishes, goodness gracious, you have, is it 6 billion every year to plan with your people? There are some districts I know have 200 parishes. You know how much money that is? 20 billion. So, local government, this is our time to shine. We either succeed or we fail.
Okay.
And as Dr. Mumza said, now the priorities are yours. Nobody is coming to say, by the way, you must do this. Honorable Sarah, you're talking of cooperatives, and I totally agree with that. But we are saying now, can we form the parish development associations, a little financial institution at the parish level, to handle income, credit, savings, advice on investments, so as to reduce our vulnerability.
Yeah.
The members of parliament have done it, and everyone, almost all of them, in their villages, they started, they call them boxes, they call them village savings, whatever. Now, this develops a cooperative mindset at a certain level.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll aggregate them and develop them further. So, local governments, especially at the parishes have been a bit dormant, but now we are saying, here is an opportunity. Select your enterprises, build your communities, carry out sensitization. Religious leaders, we are coming to you. You have a role to do community mobilization. The cultural leaders, we cannot leave you behind. We are going actually to meet and discuss this with the party leaders, the various political parties, because this is for all of us.
Yeah.
This is a Ugandan thing. If we can make a breakthrough in this one, whatever challenges have been in the other programs, we acknowledge them. But because a certain program did not do well, does not mean that you lose hope in your country.
True.
You learn from there as only.
Okay.
So thank you, and we shall be glad to have more interaction. We shall be glad to make sure that in the next year we shall be able to prove and say there was something we started. It may not have been perfect, but by the time we go back to Parliament, Charles, we shall go with a request for £1 trillion shillings minimum going to the parishes. Anybody who says that is too much, just look at the calculation. Out of 44 trillion, we are saying give us 1 trillion
to go to your voter.
Really.
Okay, and change their lives.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
God
much,
bless
the
us.
Honorable Minister of Local Government. Thank you very much, Honorable Mapenduzi. Thank you very much, Honorable Apea. Thanks a lot, Dr. Mumuza. And thanks a lot, Sarah, for all your thoughts and sharing with us your knowledge and making them available to the Ugandans out there so that they can better their lives. They say information is very important, and we thank you for finding time. And I know that we have now crossed into Thursday, but it was for a good cause. And thanks a lot from the team here, the technical team. I want to thank all of you, and the producers, Morris, Bills, William, Fred, Andrew, and all the rest who make this possible and make sure that this show can come your way. From me to you, this is from the Behind the Headlines. We thank you and God bless you. Bye-bye.
alert! Do not share your Airtel Money PIN number with anyone. Airtel Uganda employees will never ask for your Airtel Money PIN number on call, SMS, or by email. All SIM card registrations, SIM card verifications, or SIM swaps are done at clearly branded Airtel shops and not on phone. To report any fraudulent activity, please call 100 immediately. The official calling number for Airtel promotions is 0200 100 100. Stay alert on Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Join us from Monday to Friday for Good Morning Uganda with me, Felix Nkunda.
Priscilla Naluoga.
Robert Chirabo.
Molen Kenyana.
Ruben Mpimba. With all the morning's essentials.
Including the very latest in news, traffic,
weather and sports.
Live on TV and across all our social media platforms. Hashtag UBCJMU.
Hope you'll be setting your alarms, cause we are looking forward to seeing you then.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
This week on UBC.
Am I fine with my chapatis? I've heard of whole grain, processed grain. Please help us understand this.
Pork has more fat compared to the chicken. With chicken, fat is constituted in the skin, so you may have to get rid of the skin. Now fish has the good fat. Okay. That's why let's use more of the liquid oil.
Children, when they watch advertisement on TV or they listen to the radios advertising some drinks and eats, they will ask for those foods when you go to the market. But emphasize them eating a healthy diet with the go foods, the grow foods, and the glow foods all in balance.
The Doc Talk Show.
Reported on last year in the media, particularly in the Russian media. But what makes this case extraordinary is that a major American outlet is talking about this. So according to CNN, the dramatic arrest of more than 30 Russian nationals last year in Belarus was an elaborate operation by the Ukrainian intelligence, an effort backed and financed by the CIA. So they provided cash, they provided technical assistance,